Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm covering most of what went down in this week in pro wrestling. Now, what that means is I'll be covering Raw, NWA Power, AEW Dynamite, and Impact Wrestling. Now, I do have some plans for tonight, so probably means no SmackDown or Rampage coverage. So instead, I'm going to move MLW to the Tuesday review because Monday I'm going to cover Wrestle Dream. So Tuesday it's going to be Fusion, it's going to be Ring of Honor, and it's going to be Collision. So hope you guys stay tuned for that. So coming up today, we're going to start us off with Monday Night Raw. And, of course, starting out with a Cody Rhodes promo. Pretty much commenting on, every couple weeks, I try to do this. I try to give my explanation as to why I brought Jey Uso over, and I get interrupted. As you know, with Jey coming over to Raw, someone's got to go to SmackDown, and sadly, it's going to be, and out comes Judgment Day. With Finn Balor pretty much saying, look, Cody, you've been sticking your nose in Judgment Day business for a long time now. And while Jey is going to pay eventually, all of this is your fault. You've been rude to me. You've been rude to my family. And then, Cody retorts, Dom, you got a real family. We know this. And they can't stand you. And, everyone's defending their title tonight. When Rhea eventually does come back, will you be empty-handed? So then this leads to Judgment Day surrounding the ring, getting up on the apron. Then in comes Jey Uso to back him up. Judgment Day are still looking to go get him. And then Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens joins them in the ring. So Judgment Day back off. Then coming from the back, from the stage, is JD McDonough. He brings out a couple of chairs, gives one to Balor. They're beelining it back to the ring. Dominic Mysterio follows. Damian Priest do I want to do this? He's contemplating, and then he runs back down and joins in the brawl. Other members of Judgment Day then get tossed out of the ring, leaving Priest on his own, eating super kicks and chair shots, and it's definitely something to behold. And honestly, I'm going to say this feels like it's been on repeat for a while now. I'm still definitely into it, and it's more obvious than now what they're building to. War Games, which is in another month, so we're going to be waiting a while for that one. So, I guess, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking with Jey coming over to Raw, the man who's probably going to go to SmackDown, hopefully, is going to be Cody Rhodes, so he can finish his story against Roman without the bloodline. So, that leads that. We then lead into pretty much the biggest, meatiest men slapping meat match. It's Otis taking on Bronson Reed, and this was definitely not a big technical match, but it was still extremely good. Especially with Otis hitting the caterpillar on Bronson Reed. That was unbelievable. Then Otis tries for the Banzai drop, which is a move made famous by Yokozuna. Misses that. Reed with a nasty looking senton. right into the tsunami for the win for Bronson Reed. Now Reed has 2 wins over both members of Alpha Academy. So, we'll see where this goes. Hopefully it's an Intercontinental title match, because I think he deserves it. But we shall see. Next up, we got Becky Lynch chilling out backstage. In walks in Tegan Nox, who Becky Lynch asks, "Oh, where were you last week? I was hoping you'd come down and answer my open challenge." Tegan Nox retorts, "Oh, Natalya was right there at Gorilla. She was right there ready to go, so I did not want to get involved in that." Becky Lynch then says, "Alright, kid, you gotta fight for what you think you deserve. You gotta claim your worth. And I can tell you right now, you're next in line, kid." So then we cut to Adam Pearce backstage. He's on the phone talking to whoever. I'm sure it was either Paul Heyman or Vince or whatever. Then Tegan Nox walks in and pretty much asks, "So, considering that shot last week was mine, could I get an NXT Women's title match?" Then in comes Natalya, who pretty much asks, "Oh, I'd like to have a title rematch." Tegan Nox then points out, "Look, you had your match with Becky last week. You failed in your opportunity. And you're not the only one with passion around here." They then start jawing for a little bit. Adam Pearce is like, "Whoa, stop it. I'm not just going to hand out opportunities for you two. So we're going to settle this later on in the ring." So technically making a number 1 contenders match, which, yeah, I'm definitely into. We then get Tommaso Ciampa taking on Ludwig Kaiser in a very TV-worthy match. Like, it wasn't a bad match at all, but it felt very beneath Ciampa and Kaiser. These two should have been really let go, but overall, after a knee strike, which is the most beast, although it's a shout out to DIY, and for the Tommaso Ciampa victory. We then get a little Dragon Lee vignette. If you don't know who Dragon Lee is, he is another luchador from AAA, a recent WWE signing. He's been crushing it over in NXT. And now he's getting a North American title shot on Raw. We'll talk about that in a minute. We then see Becky Lynch getting on commentary for Natalya versus Tegan Nox, which, I don't know. It was fine, but it's hard to care for a match like these two. No offense. Both are very talented, but I don't know. I've seen enough of Natalya, and Tegan Nox basically just came back on TV. But overall, Tegan Nox wins with the world's shiniest wizard. We then get Judgment Day backstage, and JD McDonough is kind of talking with Finn Balor. Damian Priest walks in, pretty much says, "Look, I've had enough of you. I took that beating today because of you. Now get out of my locker room." JD McDonough walks out, and then Finn Balor and Priest have a little bit of a stare down. So, cracks still forming in Judgment Day. We'll see where this leads. We then get a Seth Rollins promo, pretty much with him saying, "Look, Nakamura's been ducking me for a while now. You've had your chance. Time for games is over. Nakamura, we all want an answer right now. And if you don't accept my challenge for a rematch, we're moving on to bigger and better things." Then Nakamura shows up on the video screen pretty much saying, yeah, I want nothing more than to leave you a mess. And while I have restraint, I only have impulse. This is your last chance to fight, your last chance to be champion. And at Fastlane, in a last man standing match, we're going to have our title shot. Ooh. Ooh. I love how they're presenting Nakamura. Will he be winning the title next Sunday? Probably not. But, you know, it's whatever. Then Seth Rollins pretty much retorts, alright, I'll admit it. Nakamura played my hand perfectly. He got this shot on his terms, but he made one mistake. While he sees my back as a weakness, and he's probably going to exploit it, it's not a weakness. It's a strength. And if I don't give it everything I have this next Sunday, I don't know if it'll be the last time in the ring. And if I give it less than 100%, I deserve to fail. But my 100% makes me champion. Now let's get crazy. So, last man standing match for Fastlane. I wish there was more of a build to this, but I guess you don't want to do the same promo video package exchange Nakamura and Rollins have been having the last couple weeks, so I do understand. We then get a Ricochet interview who comes in crutches with his leg all taped up. He says, you know, I have no idea what I'm going to say, but it's going to take a lot more to keep me down, and I got some unfinished business with Nakamura when I get back. So that feud is going to continue, and we'll see what happens. We then get, honestly, I'm going to say this, probably match of the week. We got the NXT North American title match between Dominic Mysterio and Dragon Lee. And honestly, these two, I think this was A, Dominic Mysterio's best match, bar none, and B, a real coming out party for Dragon Lee. And honestly, this was honestly pay-per-view worthy. I kind of wish they held off on this until No Mercy, because, you know, now Ali got released and he was set for that shot. But yeah, after a frog splash, your winner, Dom Mysterio. Definitely, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It is a beautiful love letter to pro wrestling. Next, we get a Sami Zayn Kevin Owens interview. With Kevin Owens pretty much saying, look, what we did tonight was not about helping Jey Uso. All I care about is getting to Judgment Day and getting our tag team titles back. Then Sami Zayn comes in with this white hot energy, pretty much saying, yeah, we started from the bottom together, we got to the top together. It's not about anything else except to get to the Judgment Day. Then we had an in-ring Nia Jax interview, and oh boy was this awkward. With her pretty much saying, I'm the baddest human being in the WWE. Thought it was Rhea, I squashed her. Shayna Baszler squashed her, blah 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 blah. And you put anyone in the ring, I'll squash them. Out comes Zoe Stark, who is on that list. She gets on the microphone right in the face of Nia. Pretty much says, alright, you got me. But you did it behind my back. Why don't you do something about it now they start off with a brawl, and then that leads to Nia Jax versus Zoe Stark. Nia Jax's first match back in the WWE after getting released. I want to say it was 2021. But, yeah, basically a squash match for Nia Jax, and after the Annihilator, which is her new leg drop finisher, your winner, Nia Jax. And I was hoping they'd do something a bit more with Zoe Stark post her getting away from Trish Stratus, but I don't know. I guess they don't really have plans for her right now. We then get a Jey Uso backstage interview. Everyone saying, like, no, I'm not into groups anymore. I'm not doing Judgment Day. And Cody took a chance on me. And I know me and KO got some beef, but that is what it is. Sammy is my boy. And I'm going to keep my eye on the main event. We then get a Miz TV segment because we haven't had much more talking segments. And his special guest is Drew McIntyre. With Miz pretty much saying, look, I know what you did to Jey Uso. We all saw it. And honestly, I'm on your side. I would have done the same thing. But why did you leave Jey? Drew McIntyre then reports, Miz, I'm nothing like you. So stop with that. Then Miz runs down both their accomplishments, which is very, very similar, actually. And then the bloodline happened. And while you don't trust Jey Uso, you did what was best for Jey. Then Drew retorts, yeah, karma's a bitch. Miz then asked, alright, you were upstaged by Cody last week. And then before Drew can answer, out come the New Day, which definitely a very interesting thing. Where Kofi called Drew cold-blooded for what he did last week. For all our career, we've been calling you Big D, but now I can see you've been dealing with some shrinkage. Calling his sword limp, and yep, they're doing dick jokes, which, come on, it's 2023. Can we get past this kind of humor? Then Drew pretty much says, look, I did what I could for Jey, but it was his business with the Judgment Day, and I didn't want to butt in. And I'm not cleaning up his mess. Then Kofi retorts, alright, we get it. I remember your beatings from the Usos. We've all been there. But you gotta at least give him a chance and let him earn your trust. And the entire time, Miz is trying to get involved, and Drew is telling him to shut up, Miz. Which, honestly, each and every time that popped me. Kofi then retorts, alright, you gotta at least try to make it right. We've been watching you this whole time. And then Drew hits Miz with a Glasgow kiss, which is a big old headbutt. Then Drew pretty much says, alright, time for talking is done. It's time for you guys to find out what Hard Times is all about. Which, nice little mention of Dusty Rhodes, Cody's father. If you haven't seen the Hard Times promo, it is one of my favorite promos of all time. We then get a look at Judgment Day, Alpha Academy backstage, where Maxime and Chad Gable are trying to cheer up Otis after his loss. With Chad pretty much says, "Look, you did great out there. There's nothing more that you could have done. He's a monster, and now we're gonna rewatch tapes, and we're gonna be better for him next time." And then Ludwig Kaiser comes in, pretty much talking to Maxime. He says, "Look at your pathetic welts. Celebrating losses, and you're an embarrassment." Chad Gable then turns to him and says, "Didn't you lose today too? And that's why you're on your way to your boss to grovel at his feet? Well, give him, on your way to Gunther, give him a message for me. I'm still after his Intercontinental title. I'm not done with it." So, nice little promo exchange between Kaiser and Gable. We then roll right into our semi-main event of Drew McIntyre taking on Kofi Kingston. And oh boy, this was another good match. The hard-hittingness of Drew McIntyre mixed well with the high-flying finesse of Kofi Kingston. Some really good back and forths. But as Kofi had Drew down for the SOS, out comes Ivar of the Viking Raiders, who takes out Xavier Woods, who's at ringside. And just, cross-bodies him into the barricade and all kinds of... And then when Kofi stands up, he's kind of distracted by what's going on. Turns right into the Claymore kick for the victory for Drew McIntyre. And then Drew leaves the ring. Ivar gets in and just starts annihilating Kofi. Drew then takes a look back and then leaves. So it does look like Drew is taking a more heel approach to this, which, I'm definitely in for. We then get Imperium backstage with Kaiser trying to relay his message from Chad Gable. Gunther then said, "Look, I wasn't expecting much from you today, but I am very disappointed. From now on, Giovanni Vinci is your responsibility, and if he fails, so do you. And now I'm going to take care of my responsibility, and I'm going to beat Ciampa myself." So it does look like eventually we're going to get Ciampa versus Gunther for the Intercontinental title. I believe it was announced that a contract signing was happening next week. So, maybe it's going to happen at the pay-per-view. We'll see. Hopefully that's true. We then get a quick Ivar interview where he pretty much says, "Look, the New Day took out Eric out of the fight. That was just an eye for an eye." So, it looks like Viking Raiders New Day feud is going to continue. I don't know what happened to Eric. I don't think he got hurt, but it's whatever. Then we get our main event, as it's for the undisputed tag team titles. And before I start, WWE, these titles need a redesign. Like, you've pretty much redesigned all of your main roster titles. Why not these? These are the ugliest things you've got. Anyway, we got the Judgment Day taking on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And while it does take a minute to get started, it does pick up by the middle. Lots of really, really good stuff. Dom tries to get involved, but he gets hit by a kick by Sami Zayn. Priest tries for a Razor's Edge that gets countered into a Blue Thunder Bomb. Then Jey Uso comes out. He brawls a bit with Dom Mysterio. Then JD McDonough takes on Jey Uso. This brings out Cody Rhodes to even the odds, so they're just brawling at ringside. KO hits a stunner on Finn Balor. Sami Zayn with a haluva kick, but then he holds it for a second. Like, Priest is down, Sami's up there for a little bit, and then J.D. McDonough with one of the tag title belts hits Sami Zayn with the title, and then a roll up from Priest for the victory. And then the brawl just continues then. So, it definitely feels like they're setting up for war games between these two groups. And honestly, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm glad we're not going back to brand supremacy with Survivor Series. Although, war games 2 years in a row, is that too much? I'll leave that up to you. Overall, very kind of okay episode of Raw. Definitely feels, some parts of it feel a bit repetitive, but overall, I enjoyed myself. Definitely a interesting episode of Raw. We then roll right into NWA Power, in which we have a fatal four-way to determine who takes on Zicky Dice at, I believe it's going to be the next pay-per-view for the now vacant television title. Participants, we got Chris Adonis, we got Big Strong Mims, Blake Troop, and Jordan Clearwater. And honestly, this one was definitely a weirdly it wasn't given a lot of time, but definitely these guys got their stuff in. And then after a crossbody into a big strong slam, your winner, Big Strong Mims. And honestly, I'm glad he's getting this title shot. And I'm definitely torn on who to pick between him and Zicky Dice. We then get an interview with Knox and Murdoch, with Murdoch pretty much saying, look, right now we live in a world without accountability, and since we started teaming, we knew our desire was gold, and no one is going to change our destiny. These cheaters must be punished. Pretty much repeated from Knox. Next up, we got Camille taking on Maddie Lankowski. And I'm going to say this, it feels weird not having Camille as champion, but she still brought it. Like, this was a really, really good back and forth matchup. Maddie, I wish, got a little bit more offense, but yeah, these two worked really, really well together. Near the end, Camille blocked a Jazz Stinger, whiffed on a reality check, and then Camille with a spear to pick up the victory. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with Camille in the NWA. Does she go back to getting a title shot? Or is she going to get built up? Will we see her versus Max the Impaler for the TV title first? Will we see her go for the tag titles, maybe? I don't know. I guess we'll see moving forward. Then we get the United States Tag Team titles on the line. Daisy Kill and Talos take on the Brothers of Funstruction, which I'm glad these two are getting a title shot. And honestly, they brought their A game in this one. Nice little back and forth. Then near the end, out comes La Rebellion with Vampiro. One of them pushes Ruffle off the top rope, and that ends in a roll-up win for Daisy, Kill, and Talos. Kill and Talos then roll out of the ring, leave, and this leads to a big old brawl between the Brothers of Destruction and Violent J, and Vampiro and the Rebellion. Which, yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup. Will we see Violent J in a match? I guess we'll see. We then get a nice little interview from Bradley Pierce, calling what has happened a dramatic change of events. And then he says to Rolando, I'm going to give you an ultimatum. Leave Rush Freeman, your brother, and join the winning side. Which, ooh, that's an interesting proposition. So, I guess we'll see. Next up, I am surprised this wasn't our main event, but we have the NWA World Heavyweight title on the line as EC3 takes on Jay Bradley of the Fixers. And yeah, this was an interesting matchup for sure. Definitely think EC3's best under the NWA banner. And, EC3 wins with the 1%er and the purpose for the submission victory. Definitely a very interesting match. Gonna be interesting to see who EC3 defends against next. We then get an interview from Natalia Markova and Taylor Rising. With Markova saying on her teaming with Taylor, I've seen she has what it takes, and while she is brand new, our opponents have no idea what to expect from us. So they're going to take on M95, the former tag team champions, next week. So, then we get a kind of sad interview from Pollo Del Mar, recapping her broken relationship with Thrillbilly Silas Mason. And then when she asks what's next, she cannot say, but it's best for me to move on, and NWA hasn't seen the last of me. Then Joe Alonzo interrupts, in which, interesting. He says to her, yeah, you're wasting your time. This isn't therapy. Silas isn't thinking about you anymore. And that's enough from you. So, it looks like Joe Alonzo and Pollo are going to be feuding. Unless Pollo has some other people she's going to manage. Which could be interesting. We then get our main event of the evening for the NWA Tag Team titles as Blunt Force Trauma take on Knox and Murdoch. And honestly, Knox and Murdoch had the advantage right off the bat. So then Aaron Stevens, who is Blunt Force Trauma's manager, gets a chair from under the ring, slides it in the ring, and Murdoch, Mike Knox gets a hold of it and just starts, giving chair shots, and that is a DQ victory for Blunt Force Trauma, who keep their titles. This is probably going to lead to a rematch somewhere down the line. Maybe at the pay-per-view. So, we'll see. Overall, a very interesting episode of Power. Definitely some good matches. And some interesting segments that keep the story moving along. Overall, that finish was a bit weak, though. I would have liked to seen something a little bit more from Blunt Force Trauma and Knox and Murdoch. Because, we all know what they're capable of. Alright, that is it for that. Let us move on to AEW Dynamite. And we start off with the international title on the line as Rey Fenix takes on Double J, Jeff Jarrett. And, this was definitely a fun little matchup. Rey Fenix's speed with the finesse of Jeff Jarrett really works. Then you, of course, got all the interference from Jeff Jarrett's side. Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Karen Jarrett. I always thought there was one more in that group. I hope I'm not forgetting someone. But, Jeff Jarrett goes for the figure 4. That gets countered. And then into the roll-up. So your victory, still international champion, Rey Fenix. We then get a very funny segment where we see MJF and Adam Cole going out on the Long Island Sound on MJF's boat, which, that's pretty cool. They start fishing. Adam Cole asks, can I get a beer? MJF says, yeah, sure, I'll get you a cold one. Opens the icebox, takes out the Dynamite Diamond ring, puts it on. Then Adam Cole, out of nowhere, says, hey, did you only come out here to hit me with the Dynamite Diamond ring and throw me overboard? MJF says, no. Starts pulling off the ring, puts it in his pocket, sits down and gives him his beer back. With Cole saying, look, I know it's difficult for you. You're new to this whole friendship thing. But I gotta tell you, it's normal for people to have more than one friend. And MJF is like, oh, okay, well, I'm not used to that, obviously. If it's normal, then fine. You can still be friends with Roderick Strong. And then Adam Cole's like, oh, I got one. I got something. They're on the line. They're screaming. They're trying their best to pull whatever out. It cuts the water, and it's Big Show, a.k.a. Paul White, in his Captain Insano outfit, in a ducky inner tube. And he's like, God, stop. So then the last shot is Paul White aboard, and they're all drinking beers. Honestly, that was the perfect mix of, serious and then comedy. I'm so happy this works. I haven't laughed so hard at something like that in a while. AEW, I definitely needed that. Then we get a little bit of footage from Don Callis and Takeshita hunting Kota Ibushi in Tokyo. We'll get to that in a little bit. We then get an interview from Don Callis' family, including their newest member, Sammy Guevara. Then they show footage of Callis and Takeshita going into Kota Ibushi's school, wrestling school. They start by beating up one of his students. Then he comes in, tries to make the save, and gets pretty much destroyed by the Don Callis family. Then we cut right back to live action. Pretty much Don Callis saying, our family has never been stronger going into Wrestle Dream. And while I've been pointed to be as the bad guy, I'm actually the hero, and Jericho is the bad guy. This is from Sammy Guevara. He's been holding me back, and now I was doing great things on my own. And he, as soon as I get back with him, he clips my wings. He was never going to pass the torch to me, so I took it. And I'm going to become the star I was born to be. So, nice little promo from the Don Callis family. We then get a little kind of backstage promo from Collision with Ricky Starks giving Danielson some credit for beating him in the Texas Death Match. Then Wheeler Yuta rolls up, pretty much saying, look, I didn't mean to push your guy, so hopefully no hard feelings. Then Ricky Starks is like, look, you and I now have beef. Let's settle this at Wrestle Dream. So that match has now been set for Wrestle Dream. And I'm definitely here for it. Now next up is a 3-way triple threat match where the winner gets an international title shot next week at the 4th anniversary AEW Dynamite. Participants, we got Nick Jackson, Brian Cage, and Claudio Castagnoli. And yeah, the two hosses pretty much tossed Nick Jackson immediately. Definitely some good back and forth between the three of them. But then after a Ricola bomb, Nick Jackson hits a Hurricane Rana on Claudio to get him out of the way, goes for the pin, and wins. So he earns that title shot. Going to be interesting to see Rey Fenix and Nick Jackson again, because they were, I believe they were the main event of the 6th episode of Dynamite. So that was like back in 2019, which is crazy to think about. We then get a vignette of the Righteous hyping up their match with MJF and Adam Cole. But then we get MJF, Adam Cole in an in-ring promo with Cole pretty much saying, look, this is a sad chapter in the book of MJF and Adam Cole. Last week I got hurt. I broke my ankle in 3 places, and now I have to go for surgery, which gets boos from the crowd. So this story is definitely taking a back seat. Cole continues, there's nothing worse than hearing this. I'll try to get back as soon as I can. But as for the Ring of Honor tag team titles, it's obvious we cannot defend them. So we must relinquish. And before Adam Cole can finish, MJF is like, hold on there, bro, Chacho. We're not just going to hand them over to the Righteous. And I'm keeping it real with you. You wouldn't be hurt because of me. These titles mean everything to you. And they'll be waiting for you. I'm going to defend these in a handicap match at Wrestle Dream. And then Roderick Strong comes out in a wheelchair with the Kingdom, pretty much saying, I need you more than ever, Adam. It's an emergency. And then MJF is alright. Okay, simp. Hold on. I learned my lesson. I respect you guys that he's your boy. You do your thing. And I'll be here when you get back. And then this brings... then Adam Cole goes to the back with Roderick Strong in the Kingdom. Then out comes Bullet Club Gold. Although Jay White makes the other guys go in the back. So it's Jay White going on one-on-one promo battle with MJF, who pretty much says, yeah, I've heard enough talk. It's one-on-one time with Jay White. MJF pretty much says, yeah, you must be smoking that strong Colorado-ish. And today your mid-mic work won't work. And then MJF pretty much goes for, look, I've been compared to a lot of people over my career, and that never really bothered me. Until I got compared to you, Jay White. And it's become apparent. I'm like a good steak. I get cooked really well, I have a lot of flavor, and while you're talented, you and I are not on the same level. While I'm steak, your tofu. You only get your flavors from outside influences. Brings up Bullet Club. And then he continues, you've pretty much been given everything. You've been given the keys to the Bullet Club. But you pluck it all away, and what do you got? You're left with nothing but tofu. And now here you are, jumping on my plate, all hype, and you're the product of what those in Japan thought would be a top guy. Then Jay White pretty much says, there it is. I've been waiting for this. My very own MJF experience. And I'll say, I'm a little disappointed. Today, you feel a little off. Are you distracted with your relationship with Cole? And I'm going to tell you now, these people don't love you like they do Cole. Then that leads to an MJF chant. And then Jay pretty much says, look, Cole's string of injuries is kind of my fault. I ended his career 1 at Forbidden Door 1. And while I don't have everything, the ankle injury is your fault. And I'll be ruining your career from afar. And then he continues, you call yourself the devil. Well, the devil needs to find himself another level because you're not on mine. And in the near future, I'm going to be taking your title, and I'm the only Grand Slam champion that matters, the truly elite champion, and you're nothing more than just like all of them. You will have them, but I'll have your title. And MJF, you've gone soft. MJF then grabs the mic, goes right into Jay White's face. You have no idea what I'm capable of. And in the future, I'm going to show you. Just let me show you. Then they start taking their shirts off. MJF goes to hit Jay White, but Jay White rolls out of the ring to end the segment. We then get a Darby Allin, Christian Cage sit-down interview. Christian Cage pretty much saying, I'm pretty much superior to Darby in every way. Those wins he has over me have been flukes. And at Wrestle Dream, I'm going to walk out as champion. And Darby, you're nowhere near the wrestler I am. And while I asked for this 2 out of 3 falls match, because I want to see what you're capable of. Because behind the paint, what are you? Darby Allin then says, this paint doesn't define me. He starts rubbing off his face paint. You cannot beat me in Seattle. Sting is not going to be there. But then Christian is like, no, I want you to bring everyone. I want to see your mom, your dad, Nick Wayne's mom. And then Darby is like, look, I know where this is going, Cage. I'm going to tell Nick Wayne to stay away. But you got to do this without Luchasaurus. Then Cage retorts, look, I don't need Luchasaurus to beat you. And on Sunday, I'm gonna be the now and forever TNT champion. Definitely really good to hype up that match. And yeah, we'll see where that goes. We then get a fatal 4-way match where these participants and their tag team partners will compete for a number 1 contendership at Wrestle Dream. So you got Orange Cassidy, Penta El Zero Miedo, Austin Gunn, and Matt Jackson. And just like the triple threat, it was pretty much action all the way through. including a bunch of destroyers during this match. Definitely very crazy. Bunch of super kicks, and then an orange punch for the win for Orange Cassidy. So, definitely a solid matchup, solid outing between these four. Going to be interesting to see how they fare on Sunday. Next up, we get the match we should have gotten on Collision, as we got Julia Hart taking on Willow Nightingale. And Willow pretty much used her power the entire way. Eventually, Julia got the best of her. And then hits a beautiful moonsault to pick up the victory. Julia then puts in the Heartless submission hold on Willow. And then Chris Statlander comes in, makes the save with Julia Hart running up the ramp. So that was technically our main event match. We now get our main event segment, which is a contract signing between Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. Now, before Hangman Page can sign his name to the contract, Swerve Strickland pretty much says, look, I've been impressed by your fire lately. It's too little, too late. It's better to be prepared on approach. But you don't know what you're walking into in Seattle. It's my alliance den. And we couldn't be more opposite. I'm not like you. What's a cowboy to an outlaw and a buckshot to a kill shot? So what that's referencing is in a promotion called Lucha Underground, Swerve Strickland played a masked character called Killshot, which that's definitely a nice little reference. Adam Page then gets on the mic, pretty much says, look, I'm fired up for this. What you said the last couple weeks, it stung a bit, but I want to thank you. And for a while now, I knew something's been up for the last year and a half. I've had a little black cloud looming over me that I couldn't get rid of. While there have been some sunny days, I would start out with a smile, the cloud would come back, and it started to annoy me, but then it pissed me off. Well, that time is over with. I've weathered the storm, and that storm launched something out of me. Time to regain my spot with it. And on Sunday, you're going to get the best of me. You deserve it, and I deserve it. You're going to get the best of Hangman Page. In which Swerve pretty much says, that was beautiful. But that was also the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. And to be honest, this thing isn't personal. It just happened to be you in my way. And I've made enemies out of everybody I've ever worked with. And I'm going to take your spot. And just a heads up, it rains a lot in Seattle. Adam Page retorts, you want this spot? Maybe you would have been the world champion by now. But I wasn't handed an opportunity. I earned every opportunity. And at every opportunity, I knocked it out of the park. You want this spot? You should. But you don't have what it takes. Then both finally signed the contract. And while Swerve was going to sign, Adam Page takes his pen and stabs Swerve's hand. Which, oh my god. Yeah, that was a hell of a way to end that segment. But Dynamite isn't over yet, as we see backstage Jay White getting jumped by 4, maybe 5 masked men, with one of them wearing MJF's devil mask. If you've never seen that entrance, it's really an awesome mask. There has been a lot of speculation on who this is. A lot of people saying it's Edge, the former Adam Copeland, whose contract actually expires tomorrow, which is crazy because Sunday is Wrestle Dream. A lot of people are saying it's Adam Cole, and he was faking the injury the whole time. I guess we'll see sooner or later. So, definitely a nice little episode of Dynamite. I really enjoyed it. A lot of good matches, a lot of interesting segments, and to leave on a cliffhanger, like something like that. Yeah, I've definitely missed stuff like that in wrestling. And Fine Alamo, we're going to finish up with the post-Impact 1000 episode of Impact Wrestling. And we started off with the X Division title match as the man who won Ultimate X at Impact 1000, Alan Angels, takes on Chris Sabin. And, oof, boy, of course, starting off with the X Division, always a plus. They bring the energy up, and they honestly absolutely brought it. Near the end of the matchup, Alan Angels goes outside the ring to the Timekeeper's area, grabs the X Division title, ref takes it away immediately, and while the ref's back is turned, big old low blow, tries for hits a Halo strike, but that only gets a 2 count, misses on the frog splash, and then Sabin with the drop kick and the cradle shock to pick up the victory. Then, post-match, we get a little video played. As it's revealed, Chris Sabin's opponent for the X Division title for Bound for Glory is none other than Kenta. So, that match is going to absolutely rule. We then get a nice, short but sweet interview from Alex Shelley, where Shelley pretty much says, yeah, Josh Alexander is the number 1 contender. And Josh, while I have some respect for you, you gotta respect that this is mine now. And at Bound for Glory, you need to step up to take it from me. So, nice little promo from Shelley. We'll see Josh Alexander a little bit later. Next up, pretty much an extended squash match as Rhino takes down Jack Price in minutes after a gore. Post-match, we see Steve Maclin attacking Rhino from behind. So that feud is going to be continuing for now. We then get a Tasha Steele promo from up in the bowels of the arena, pretty much saying, I'm the greatest that beat the greatest, and I'm bringing full flavor back to Impact Wrestling. Then Deonna Purrazzo rolls up, where she pretty much says, look, I'm looking forward to what the future holds. Tasha says, yeah, I like the sound of that. If you have my back, I have yours. Yeah. So it looks like we're getting a Tasha Steele, Deonna Purrazzo team up, which definitely sounds interesting. We then get a promo from Eddie and Alicia Edwards, pretty much with Eddie pretty much saying, Kaz, this isn't over, while Kaz's wife, Tracy Brooks, beat Alicia Edwards at Impact 1000. Kaz, you did not beat me. This is not over, Kaz. Frankie Kazarian then walks in. He says, yeah, I agree. This isn't over. And while I'd like to throw down right now, that would solve nothing. And I'd like to settle this in the ring. We then roll into a Joya promo in which this is Yuya Uemura's goodbye ceremony as he won the pink slip in Feast or Fired, which means he got fired, aka his excursion from New Japan is over. Now he's going back. Joe Hendry starts out this promo with, while I'm doing my best to come out here every night to stay motivated, tonight isn't that night. Feast or Fired, we both went for it. And Yuta, you got the pink slip. And I will always be thankful for the memories. And I'm going to have zero regrets in teaming with you, Yuya. We gave ourselves 100% each and every night. So, thank you, Yuya. Yuya Uemura gets on the mic. He starts with a thank you, Impact Wrestling. And then the Rascals interrupt. In which they pretty much say, look, we didn't mean to crash this party. Excuse no one else had. You failed in capturing the tag team titles. And no one should know. Then Joe Hendry pretty much retorts, well, no one knows failure like you, the second and third best Rascal, referencing Wesley over in NXT. Rascals then say, well, coming next week, you're going to be all on your own. And Hendry's like, yeah, next week I'm going to be on my own. But tonight, we're together. And they just start fighting each other. Rascals bail out of the ring. They're looking to go out on the ramp. And out comes Santino Marella, the director of Authority. He pretty much, Rascals, you came out and you interrupted a beautiful thing. So tonight, how about it's the two of you versus Joya, and if Yuya Uemura picks up the victory, Yuya can stay. So some pretty big stakes on the line. And honestly, this match was awesome. Very nice little back and forth between the two. But then, of course, it ends with a low blow and the use of spray paint for the Rascals to pick up the victory. So, Yuya, it was nice having you around for Impact, but he's going to go off and he's going to crush it in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Then we get a very interesting Giselle Shaw interview in which she says, tonight I got my shot against the Knockouts champion. And when I win tonight, I'm going to challenge for and win the title at Bound for Glory. Then we get a weird design promo in which Dina pretty much says there has now been some cracks in the foundation of the design. Calls out Angels and EY for showing these cracks. But now we're going to rebuild the design on the back of the Monster Khan. And it starts with you, Josh Alexander. So in the future we're going to get Josh Alexander versus Khan, which sounds pretty darn good to me. We then get a street fight, tag team street fight, as it's Kenny King and Sheldon Jean taking on Heath and Tommy Dreamer. And they brought out all the toys. They got cookie sheets, they got ladders, tables, chairs, thumbtacks. But the win comes with a Dreamer driver through the table. So of course your winners, Tommy Dreamer and Heath. Then post-match, Crazy Steve rolls in, disguised as a cameraman, and just takes out Tommy Dreamer. So it looks like we're being set up for that match going forward. Probably going to be at Bound for Glory, which sounds good to me. We then get a backstage promo from the ABC. That's Ace Austin and Chris Bay, aka Bullet Club. Pretty much saying, look, Rascals, you took from us, you stole from us, and now you've hidden behind your good hands, and all they're good for is taking your money. Rascals, you can't beat us, so there's nothing keeping us away from the titles. But first, we're going to handle the good hands. So then, Skyler rolls up pretty much saying, look, obviously my partner isn't here. He's home taking care of his baby. Then the ABC throws out there, oh, we're going to have a fans revenge match in which select fans are going to be allowed ringside with straps. So it's pretty much a handicap match with fans, so we'll see. Then Sky's like, well, obviously my partner isn't here, so we can't do this match. ABC are then like, alright, pick anyone in the locker room to be your partner. And they make fun of him for not having any friends, which, that's a little sad. I do feel bad for Holic in that instance. We then get the 1000th match, or at least it feels like it, between Jonathan Gresham and Speedball Mike Bailey. And while this match does get is slow to start a bit, they turn it up to 11 almost immediately. Near the end, Speedball has Gresham in a sleeper hold, and then Gresham counters into a roll-up, including using the tights to pick up the victory. So, that's going to be interesting to see going forward. It does look like Gresham has embraced cheating a little bit, going back to his 2019 Ring of Honor persona. Then we get a Moose and Brian Myers promo, with Moose pretty much saying, look, I've been thinking, it's been a while since I've been world champion, and now I got my feet. Next week, I'm going to get my feet wet in a singles match. Doesn't really matter who it's against, because I'm the wrestling god. Then we see Steve Maclin walking backstage, and he runs into Bully Ray, who is in his locker room, and he says, Bully, I need some help with Rhino. And Bully's like, well, what do you want me to do? We need to handle him like we used to. And Bully's like, yeah, I'll go talk to him. He and I have been boys for a while now. Then Macklin's like, dude, talk to him? No, what are you doing? Bully, this isn't you. Are you still down because of your loss to PCO? And you're going to go talk to Rhino? Bully, you've gotten soft. So, yep, going to be interesting to see where that goes, because that's an interesting story. We then get our main event in non-title action. It's Giselle Shaw taking on Knockouts champion Trinity. And honestly, there was action right off the bat. Really good back and forth. Near the end, Shaw does have advantage, goes for the denouement, whiffs into a roll-up. Trinity with a heat seeker. And then Trinity looks for a hip attack, goes into a roll through, right into the Starstruck for the submission victory. However, it doesn't end there, as Savannah Evans and Jay Vidal get in the ring, jump Trinity, And then out comes Mickie James to make the save. And Mickie James gets on the microphone. She says, "Yeah, you don't have to thank me for that, Trinity. It's what friends do. And while I loved standing with you in the tag team women's match at Impact 1000, and I've had your back since day one, and I've been watching you since your glow up, don't only deserve this title, you earned it. However, this is a title I never lost, and I have my rematch clause, which I'm cashing in at Bound for Glory. So that matchup is set. Knockouts title, Trinity versus Mickie James. Yes, please." Alright, that is it for me today. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, comment what you thought about this week in wrestling. Subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.